Earlier in the week, Dwayne Haskins had 3 turnovers for Washington and was benched as the Panthers won 20-13. And then Andy Dalton threw for 377 yards, 3 touchdowns as the Cowboys cruised over the Eagles to remain alive in the NFC East race and eliminate Philadelphia. Now, this is where it gets interesting. 3 teams still alive for the NFC East title. With Washington winning it, if they could beat the Eagles on Sunday, the winner of the Cowboys-Giants game could also punch their ticket to the postseason if Washington were to lose. So, I want to talk about these two. You look at this division, and it's a mess. But I want to start just quickly by talking about the Cowboys, because they have a real shot here to win this division, Rex. Yeah. And if they do, if they win this division, what does next year look like for these Cowboys?
Well, I think what Jerry Jones would do simply is we're going to get our franchise quarterback, under contract. So we got to get Dak Prescott back, and everything will be fine. I mean, let's face it. They have an amazing group of receivers. They really do. And so they have that talent there. Offensively, they'll be fine. They got to get healthy in that offensive line. They'll be fine moving forward. But they got to do something on defense, because this defense is garbage. So they have to do something. I think Jerry Jones will do something schematically, maybe in the coaching staff. But they have to improve that defense.
Yeah, sometimes we make the playoffs. You say we have a playoff team. Yeah. We're good. Let's run it back. Sounds like you're saying Dallas can't do that. A lot of people feel the way you do. Now, we're trying to get Ryan Clark back, but Dan, I want to get to you first. Just briefly talk about the Eagles here. Hurts had a tough game. I mean, he didn't have a bad game, but he had a tough game. So now this team is 4-10 and 1. 4-10 and 1. They're on the outside looking in. What happens with the quarterback situation now in Philly?
Yeah, listen, the quarterback situation in Philadelphia, when it's tied to Carson Wentz, isn't tied to the performance of just Jalen Hurts, right? Everyone thought, okay, we're going to make the quarterback switch and everything will get better. They're 1-2 in the 3 games that he's started. And their 1 win was against the guy that was Taysom Hill when he turned the football over 3 times. And his quarterback play has been better than what Carson was given them this year. So it speaks to the reality it's not a great football team. I have said this. I do not think that you can have Carson Wentz in Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts in the same room. I don't believe it's going to be a competitive quarterback room. I believe it would be combative. It would not be a healthy situation. What do you do as the head coach? Does Doug Peterson want to coach Carson Wentz, or does he want to coach Jalen Hurts? Is he going to come back? So the question or the future of Carson Wentz isn't tied strictly to the performance of Jalen Hurts. I will say this. It was interesting to watch how Dallas played. Dallas dropped into coverage, and then they had somebody spy Jalen Hurts. When Jalen Hurts hit his back foot in his drop, that spy committed to going after him, and when he broke the pocket, sometimes he wasn't even allowed to by the spy, and then when he did, it wasn't a clean vision, and the performance wasn't as dominant or wasn't as impressive as it was his first 2 starts. So the Eagles have some questions to answer. They got big questions to answer, and it will 100% start with what do they do with Carson Wentz?
All right, so Ryan Clark's back with us. Ryan Clark, maybe you can answer that question. What do they do with Carson Wentz?
Well, Ryan Smith, since you want to use my whole government.
Yeah, we say
I had to. I had because you're back. I'm reintroducing you. That's how it works. That's my job.
Hey, man,
for the audience, you didn't.
These folks
Ryan's back with us.
Hey, listen, I think you got to keep Carson Wentz. This is a very small sample size of what we've seen of Jalen Hurts. And I think some of the questions that kept Jalen Hurts on the sidelines so long while Carson Wentz was struggling are going to continue to prevail in the minds of Doug Peterson, in the minds of Howie Roseman, in this team. And so now looking at going forward, I don't know if you've had enough of Jalen Hurts being successful to say that he's your quarterback of the future. I believe Doug Peterson when he said this was going to be week to week, because I felt like he still had certain questions, and obviously he plays well in the first half. The second half, you see the turnovers in Dallas Cowboy territory. Those are things that are concerning, because if you're not going to have a quarterback that protects the ball better than Carson Wentz, you're then going to look to the skill set and some of the things that Carson Wentz has shown you in some of his MVP caliber play and say, man, maybe we could get him back there. I think not having great performances by Jalen Hurts just muddies the water and makes this a much more difficult decision for Doug Peterson and the Philadelphia Eagles.
See, I agree with you. It is not a done deal what happens with these quarterbacks in Philadelphia. Thank you, RC. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Much better.
All right, let's get up and go with some blockbuster. Their offensive production from the first to the second half. And they totaled 260 yards and 3 touchdowns. Big Ben accounted for 244 of those yards through the air. That's his most in the second half since November of 2018. And Dan, what did you see? You put some tape together on this. Show us how Big Ben turned it around in the second half.
Yeah, right. Listen, great offense, great quarterback play really is about like a great fighter, right? You take your shot at some point to try to end the match. And that's exactly what the Steelers did with Big Ben to Juju Smith-Schuster in the fourth quarter to complete the comeback. So first of all, I love the fact that when they're going to take their shot, they go max protection. They keep their tight end in, and then they're going to keep their tailback in. That's 7 guys in protection versus a 4-man rush, right? Here, we're going to take our shot. We want to make sure that we have the chance to get the ball off. And I always say this about quarterback play. You get to the line of scrimmage. Know that a defense always gives you a problem, but always gives you an opportunity to go to attack. Now, what's the defense that the Colts are in? The Colts are going to be in a defense known as cover 6. It's cover 2 and cover 4 together. This is the cover 2 side. Corner, you've got that flat area. Safety, you've got half the field. Now the other side, it's cover 4. You've got a quarter of the field, and you've got a quarter of the field. And we're really going to focus on this safety. This cover 4 safety is going to have vision on guys that come into his area. If somebody comes into his cover 4, his zone, it really becomes like a man type of concept. He's an ultra-aggressive player. Now, what do the Steelers do to attack it? The Steelers are going to take this receiver and going to run him on a wrap in, right in front of that safety's vision, right? And then they're going to take Juju Smith-Schuster and just try to leak him behind that safety. So they're going to try to take advantage with their shot of an aggressive defense, all right? Now watch what Big Ben does. He does 3 things really well to really make this play happen. First of all, you're going to see a little bit of a vision, right? He's staring right this side. He's staring right at that receiver because he knows that safety's going to be looking at him, looking at the safety. That safety's going, all right, Big Ben, I got eyes on you. I only have 1 receiver to my side. That tight end is blocking. I can be very aggressive right now as that wrap in comes in. That's number 1. Number 2, look at the pump fake from Big Ben. Big Ben's like, I know exactly what defense you're in. I'm going to pump you as the safety and know that you're going to be aggressive. Look how aggressive this safety is right now. He's starting to drive that in route. The third thing I love about this is this. Look at the protection. That protection is beautiful. You give that guy, the Hall of Famer, that kind of protection, it's going to work out. And this is the difference. Pump fake, vision, protection. Big Ben knows. I've got Juju Smith-Schuster. There's that safety. That safety, that was ultra aggressive. He's left in no man's land. I'm going to throw with touch to a spot to Juju for the game winner. The Steelers have not been great on offense this year, but when they needed it most, they took their shot with their Hall of Fame quarterback, and he executed perfectly, and it saves their season.
And it really could be a sign of things to come. Great job there, Dan. Rex, what's your biggest takeaway from the Steelers' comeback win over the Colts?
First off, gutty performance. I mean, amazing performance. When I thought they were dead, I mean, the way they played that first half, I'm like, they can't beat anybody. I mean, I thought they were going to lose their 4th game in a row. And it was ridiculous. But man, oh man, did it flip, Ryan, on that pass coming out of half. Ben hits that pass to Johnson, makes a great diving catch. From that point on, the game changed. But moving forward, I'm really concerned with this team. The Pittsburgh Steelers ran for 20 total yards. Like, that's ridiculous. This is not the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I know you got to get over yourself. This isn't the same old Steelers. You're right. You're right. It's not. It is not the same old Steelers, because the same old Steelers would have buried the Indianapolis Colts and pounded them into the dirt instead of being fortunate to win a game. So they got to find a way to move the football. You have to be able to have the ability to do both, run the football and pass the football.
RC, what do you think?
You know, I think I'm happy that they won. I mean, I was tired of seeing what you saw in the second halves of game against the Washington football team, the Buffalo Bills, and the Cincinnati Bengals. You wanted to see a little championship medal, and I think Dan hit it on the head. Their future Hall of Fame quarterback got some protection. Now, does that carry over? Mm-hmm. Can you invert the line of scrimmage and create a run game? Can you continue to keep Ben Roethlisberger clean? I think the one thing we learned is they have to take shots. Mm-hmm. The dink and dunk, yeah, that's fine, and that's a way to kind of create a running game, but you got to take shots. And what started to fail this team was their wide receivers. Deontay Johnson had drops. Eric Ebron had drops. What we saw in the second half was those guys making plays for their quarterback. And it's all going to revolve around Seven. I believe that they place too much on his shoulder.
Oh, looks like we have a